So this lesson will be focusing on working with powers, exponents, and also the laws of exponents all combined. So if we're looking at the power, we're saying it is made up of a base and also it is made up of an exponent. So the two combined will make up your power. So an exponent we're saying is a number or a variable to which the base is raised. So we have a number or a variable sometimes to which our base is raised. So if we look at an example of a exponent and a base. So if we have an exponent, which is the smaller number over here, which is 5 in this case, and we have our base in this case, which is 2, which is the bigger number. So both the two combined will be referred to or will be called the power. So both your exponent and your base will be called the power. Now, when it comes to the laws of exponents, so we'll be dealing with the first law in this table. So we have our table, which is separated into A, B, C. Then the first part, which is A, is going to be your question, B is your expanded form, and C, you're written as a power, then D, operation on the exponents. So let's look at the first example. So we got our power, which is 3 to the 4, or the base in this case is 3, and the exponent is 4, multiplied by another base, which is 3, and the exponent in this case is what? 1. Now, when they say expanded form, they want you to write the 3 to the power 4 as the main function of the exponent. Now, the exponent is telling you how many times must you write the base or multiply the base by itself. So for the first part, it's saying I must multiply the 3, which is the base, by itself 4 times. So we're gonna go 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So the main function of the exponent, which is the smaller number, is telling me how many times I must multiply the base by itself. Now for the second one, since the exponent is 1, that means you must only write the 3 only 1 time. Now written as a power. Now, in order to write that as a power, that means we said in our introduction, our power is made up of a base, which is 3, and the power in this case, which is 5. So the base in this case, which is 3, then the exponent is 5. So you added the 4 plus the 1 to give you an answer of what? 3 to the power of 5. So that's how you write it as a power. Now the operation on the exponents, they're asking you what did you do to your exponents when you were multiplying the bases that are the same. So what you did, you said 4, which was the exponent of the first base, plus the 1 to give you an answer of 5. So you basically added your exponents to get an answer of 5. Now for the second example, we're still applying the same thing. So you are multiplying and the bases are the same. So expanded form again. So the power of the first base, the exponent of the first base is 1. So that means you must only write the 7 1 time. Then multiply by 7 to the power of 3. That means the 3 over here is telling me I must multiply the 7 3 times by itself. Then write it as a power. So the base in this case is going to be 7. Then you're going to add your 2 exponents. In this case, we're going to go 1 plus the 3 to give you an answer of 7 to the power of 4. So in order to get the 4, you're going to add the 1 plus the 3 to give you an answer of 4. Now, operation on the exponents, they're asking you what did you do to your exponent. So you added the 1 plus the 3 to give you an answer of 4. Now for the third one, so got 2 to the power of 3 times 2 to the 1 times 2 to the 2. So for the first one, again, my exponent is 3, so I must multiply the base, which is 2, 3 times by itself. So that's why we have 2 times 2 times 2. Then the next part, we got 2 to the power of 1. So that means we must only write the 2 only one times because the exponent is telling me how many times I must multiply that number by itself. Then next up, we got 2 to the power of 2 or 2 to the exponent 2. That means you must multiply 2 by itself twice. Now write it as a power, that will be 2 to the 6. Now 2 to the 6. How did we get the 6 over there? So we went 3 plus 1 plus 2 to give us an answer of 6. Where did we get the 3 plus the 1 plus the 2? So the exponent on the first base was 3 plus the exponent on the second base plus the exponent on the third base to give us an answer of 6. Now next up, we got a to the exponent of 3 times a to the exponent of 4. Again, the 3 is telling me I must multiply the base by itself 3 times. So that's why we have a times a times a. Then a to the exponent of 4, that means we must multiply a by itself 4 times. Now you're writing that as a power, you're gonna write it as a to the 7. Now how did we get a to the power of 7 or the 7 in the exponent? Now operation on the exponent is telling me I must add the 3 plus the 4 to give me an answer of 7. Now y to the power of 2 times y to the power of 4. Now y to the exponent 2 means you must multiply the y, which is the base, by itself 2 times. So that's why we have y times y. Then y to the exponent of 4, that means you must multiply the base by itself 4 times. So it's y times y times y, 4 times. Now to write that as an exponent, it's gonna be y to the exponent of 6. How did I get the 6? I added the 2, which was the exponent of the first base, plus the 4, which was the exponent of the second base to give me an answer of 6. Now for the last part, 2 to the power of 3. Now 2 to the power of 3, you must multiply the 2 by itself 3 times. So that's why we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And a to the power of 2, that means I must multiply a by itself 2 times. So it's a times the a. Then 2 to the power of 2, I must multiply the 2 by itself two times. So it will be 2 times the 2. Now a to the power of 1 is telling me the exponent, which is 1, I must only write the a one time. Now written as a power, we're gonna have 2 to the exponent 5 and a to the exponent of 3. Now, how did I get the 5 and the 3 as my exponents? So let's look at the 2 first. So I'm multiplying the bases that are the same, 2 and 2. So I'm gonna add my exponent. In this case, I'm gonna add 3 plus the 2 to give me an answer of 2 to the 5, or 5 as my exponent answer. Now for a, it was the 2 plus the 1 to give me an answer of 3. So operation on the exponents, I added the 3 of the first exponent of the base of the first exponent, then I added the 2 from the second base. Then for a, it was the 2 plus the 1 to give me an answer of 3. Now, if we look at our next part, what can you deduce when you study column A and column C in the above table? So let's look at the first column and the second column. And the C column. So it's A and C. So we're gonna be focusing on the A column and the C column. So in the A column, you can see if you are multiplying powers that are the same, that share the same base. In this case, my base is 3, and my base is 3. So in other words, if you are multiplying bases that are the same, you write down the base and you only add the exponent. So that's how we got 5 as our exponent, because we wrote the base, which was 3. Then we added the 4 plus the 1 to give you an answer of 5. So when they say, what can you deduce from the study when you study column A and column C in the above table? Our answer should be when you're multiplying powers with the same base, you add the exponent. So again, let's quickly refer to column A and column C. So I have my power. If we remember again, we said a power is made up of a base and an exponent. So you are multiplying powers with the same bases. So you write down the base and you add the exponent. So the base is 3, then the exponent is 4 plus the 1 to give you an answer of 3 to the power of 5. Now let's look at our second part. Now, so we're dealing with law number 2 now. So we have 2. So we have 2 to the power of 5 divided by 2 to the power of 3. Now in expanded form again, we need to multiply the base using the exponent. So the exponent is telling me I must multiply the base 5 times by itself. So we're going to have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 5 times. And on our denominator, the exponent is 3. That means I must multiply this base in this case, which is 2, by itself 3 times. So it's 2 times 2 times 2. Now to write that as a power or written as a power, we're going to have an answer of 2 to the 2. How did we get 2 to the 2? The 2 will cancel off with the 2 in the denominator. So the 2 will cancel off with 1, 2 in the denominator. And the second one will also cancel off. And also the third one will also cancel off. So we're only going to be left with 2 2's. So that's why we have 2 to the power of 2. Now, operation on your exponents, what did we do to our exponents now? So we said 5, which was the exponent of the first of the base in the numerator minus the base, the exponent in the denominator. So we got 5 minus the 3 to give you an answer of 2. So you're going to refer to the exponent in the numerator and take away the exponent in your denominator. Now 3 to the 6 divided by 3 to the power of 2. So again, expanded form. That means we must multiply 6. We must multiply the base, the base 3 in this case by itself 6 times. So it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 to give you 3 to the power of 6. Now for 3 to the power of 2, the exponent is telling me I must multiply this base, which is 3, twice or 2 times by itself. So it's 3 times 3. Then the 3's will cancel off. Then these ones will also cancel off. Then we'll have an answer of 3 to the power of 4. Now, how did I get 3 to the power of 4? I said 6, which is the exponent in the numerator, minus the exponent in my denominator. So it's 6 minus 2 to give me an answer of what? 4. Now 6 to the 7 divided by 6 to the power of 4. Expanded form again, you must multiply the 6 by itself 7 times. So it's 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 up until 7 times. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Then in your denominator, you must multiply the 6 4 times by itself. So the exponent 4 is telling me I must multiply this base, which is 6 4 times. So it's 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. Then written as a power, we're going to have an answer of 6 to the 3. Now, how did we get 6 to the 3? Or the 3 in our exponent over it. So we said the exponent of the numerator of the base in the numerator minus the exponent in the base that is in your denominator. So it was 7 minus the 4 to give us an answer of 3. So you take the exponent of the base that is in your numerator minus the exponent in your denominator to give you an answer of 3. Now, next up, we have y to the 8 divided by y to the power of 2. So the exponent 8 is telling me I must multiply this base, which is y, 8 times by itself. So that's why we have y times y times y times y times y times y times y 8 times. Now in our denominator, we have y squared. That means I must multiply the base y by itself 2 times or twice. So my exponent is telling me I must multiply my base by itself how many times? So it will be y times y. Now written as a power, we're gonna have y to the power of 6. Now how did I get the 6 over there? So I took the exponent of the base in the numerator minus the exponent in the base that is in your denominator. So it was 8 minus the 2 to give me an answer of 6. Then the last one, we have 3 to the power of 4 and y to the power of 5 divided by 3 to the exponent of 2 and y to the exponent of 2. Now 3 to the 4 is telling me I must multiply the base, which is 3, 4 times by itself. So it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Then secondly, we also have the base over there, which is y. Now y, we must multiply it by itself 5 times because the exponent of y is 5. So that's why we went y times y times y times y 5 times. Now same thing in your denominator, we got 3 to the exponent of 2. That means I must multiply the base, which is 3, 2 times by itself. So we're going to have 3 times 3. Then y to the power of 2, we must multiply the base, which is y, by itself 2 times. We're going to have y times y. Now the 3's will cancel off. 3 and 3 will cancel off, and 3 and 3 will cancel off. And also y and y will cancel off, and y and y will also cancel off. So we're going to end up having 3 to the exponent of 2 and y to the exponent of 3. Now, how did I get y to the exponent of 3, then 3 to the exponent of 2? So again, I took the exponent on numerator of the base that is in the numerator. This base, I took the exponent, which is 4, and I subtracted the exponent in the denominator, which was 2. So it was 4 minus the 2 to give me an answer of 2. Then y, we took the exponent, which was 5, minus the exponent in your denominator, which was 2, to give me an answer of 3. So we went 5 minus 2 to give us an answer of 3, which is represented over here. Now for the last part, it says, what can you deduce when you study column A and column C in the above table? So let's look at column A and column C before we conclude anything. So you can see we are dividing the bases, the powers with the same base. In this case, my base is 2. So I'm looking at the powers in this question. So my base is 2 and we are dividing. So if you look at the column A and column C, if you are dividing bases with the same, if you are dividing powers, sorry for that mistake, if you are dividing powers with the same bases, you write down the base, the same base, which is 2, and you subtract your exponent. So we're gonna go 5 minus the 3 to give us an answer of what? 2. So we can conclude that when you are dividing powers with the same base, you subtract the exponent. So this is what we can observe from the first column, or column A and column C. So when you are dividing bases, when you are dividing powers with the same bases, you write down the base and you subtract the power. So 5 minus 3 will give you an answer of 2. Now, lastly, we're gonna go to the third part. So in this case, we have a power. So we said if you have a base and an exponent, the whole thing is referred to or is called a power. So we have a power raised to another exponent. Now, how do we write that in expanded form? So the inner power or the power within the bracket is telling me how many times I must multiply the base, which is 5, by itself. So that means I must multiply the 5, which is the base, by itself, how many times? 2 times. So that's why we're going to have 5 times 5, because the inner exponent is telling me I must multiply the 5 by itself 2 times. Now the outer exponent outside the bracket is telling me I must repeat the same process 3 times. So that's why we have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 and 5 times 5. So the inner one, the inner exponent within the bracket is telling me I must multiply the 5 by itself 2 times. Then the exponent outside your bracket is telling me I must repeat that process 3 times. So that's why we have repeated the same thing 3 times. Now to write that as a power, it's 5 to the 6. How did we get 5 to the 6? So it was 2 times the 3. So you only multiply the exponent, which is 2 and 3. So you only multiply the exponent is 2 and 3, which is also an exponent. So 2 times 3 will give you an answer of 6. Now the next one, the inner exponent is telling me within the bracket, I must multiply the 3 by itself 3 times. So the 3, which is the exponent inside, is telling me I must multiply that 3, which is the base, by itself 3 times. So it will be 3 times 3 times 3. Now the outer one outside the brackets, this exponent is telling you you must repeat the same process 2 times. So that's why we have this process repeated twice. So we have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. Then written as a power, we're gonna have 3 to the power of 6. Now, how did we get the 6 in our exponent? Again, we said 3, which is the exponent inside the bracket, times the exponent outside the bracket. So we went 3 times 2 to give us an answer of 6. So operation on the exponents, we just multiplied our exponents to give us an answer of 6. Now for the next part, we have a base which is 7 and exponent of 2, all raised to another exponent, which is 3. Now the exponent inside the bracket is telling me I must multiply the 7 by itself 2 times. So that's why we have 7 times 7. Now the bracket, the exponent outside the bracket is telling me I must repeat the same process 3 times. So that's why we repeated the same thing 3 times. So we have 7 times 7, then 7 times 7, then 7 times 7. So the inner exponent within the bracket is telling me how many times I must multiply the base, which is 7, by itself. Then the one outside the bracket is telling me how many times must you repeat the same process. Which process? The process of multiplying the 7 by itself 2 times. So you must repeat the same thing 3 times. So that's why it is repeated 3 times. Then C, written as a power, you're gonna have an answer of 7 to the power of 6, or 7 to the exponent of 6, sorry. 7 to the exponent of 6. Now, how did you get the 6? We said 2, which is the exponent inside the bracket, multiplied by the exponent outside your bracket. So 2 times the 3 will give you an answer of 6. Now, the last part, we have a power which is b to the exponent of 4, all raised to an exponent, which is 2. Now, the inner exponent inside the bracket is telling me I must multiply the b by itself 4 times. So we're going to have b times b times b times b. And the outer exponent outside the bracket, the 2, is telling me I must repeat that process how many times? 2 times. So that's why the same thing is repeated 2 times. Now written as a power, we have b to the power of 8. How did I get b to the power of 8? I set the exponent inside the brackets multiplied by the exponent outside the bracket. So it was 4 times the 2 to give me an answer of 8. So it was 4 times the 2, and we missed the 8 on this part. So it should be 4 times 2 to give you an answer of 8. So sorry for that mistake. There should be a 8 over here. So because it's 4 times 2 to give you an answer of 8. So apologies for that mistake. But the answer that should be here is 4 times 2 to give you an answer of 8. So if you are paying attention or listening, please make sure you correct that error or that mistake and put the equals to sign and write the 8 as the answer. Now for next step, we have what can you deduce when you study column A and column C in the above table? So as you can see, if you have a power raised to another exponent, so you write down the base of that power, and what you do, you only multiply the exponent. So we wrote down the base, which was 5. So 5, then we only multiply the exponent. It was 2 times the 3 to give me an answer of 6. And even if we look at the second one too, so we wrote down the base, which was 3. So let's look at the second one. I'm looking at this one. So we wrote down the base, which was 3, and we multiplied the exponent. So it was 3 times the 2 to give me an answer of 6. So we just don't randomly pick the number 6, but we're getting it from just multiplying our exponents. So it's 3 times the 2 to give us an answer of 6. So as much as we have so many 6 in our answer, that doesn't mean we're just randomly picking the number 6, but we're getting it from this calculation by multiplying your exponent. Even for the next one. So we didn't just write the 6 over there, but we wrote down the base, which was 7, and we only multiply the exponent. So it was 2 and the 3 to give me an answer of 6. So make sure you do your proper calculation. So what can we deduce from this study or your observation? So it says when a power is raised to an exponent, so this is the power inside the bracket. So remember the power is made up of a base and an exponent. So when we have a power raised to an exponent, you only multiply the exponent. So that's why we wrote down the power, which was b, and we only multiplied the exponent, which was 4 times the 2 to give me an answer of 8. And make sure you correct this error over here. Put the equals to sign and write down the answer, which is 8.